Before we crack into today's show, we must address something from last week's show. Comments made last week in regards to the perception of a state coach not flying out with the team, but being able to play the next night. We do apologise to the coach if any offence was taken. This was never intended as a personal attack, and we deeply apologise if it was received in that way. We have since been given information for the reasoning of the coach not being on the team flight, which was a family matter. As we mentioned in last week's episode, work and or family reasons were always going to be an understandable reasoning for this scenario. Once again, our apologies to the coach, her family, for any offence or hardship that may have been caused. Welcome to Empire Rugby League, the Western Front Edition, the only podcast where we talk about everything local WA Rugby League. Joining me as usual is Beatrix. Mate, how are you?
I'm back. I'm good, mate. Got a pep in the step, ready to go.
Excellent. And back from suspension, Morgs, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good. No more high tackles for me. I'll behave.
High tackle from you.
High tackle from Morgs, yeah.
Step ladder,
Step ladder tackles. He knows drawing penalties. That's what he's doing. Cool. So we're going to kick on with our scores and results from the weekend. So I'll start with our Women's League tag. We had Fremantle 10 over Joondalup 8. Kwinana and Willagee having the draw at 14-all. Ellenbrook 68 over Mandurah 0. And North Beach 20 over Alkimos 10, with South Perth having the bye.
And in a full round of third grade, we had Ellenbrook 30 over Fremantle 6. We had Mandurah with a big win over Kwinana 28-6. We had Willagee 28 over Rockingham 10. South Perth 16 over Kalamunda 6. And North Beach 42 over Alkimos 0.
Yep. Sorry, Beatrix. Then going off early as always.
Yeah.
Val Murphy, we had Fremantle 44 over Joondalup 6. Ellenbrook 48 over Rockingham 4. Willagee 38 over Kwinana 20. Kalamunda 12 over South Perth Donut, and Alkimos 38 over North Beach 18.
And in the Women's Premiership, we had Fremantle getting a good win over Willagee 8 points to 6, and we had Joondalup with a convincing victory over Kalamunda, 50 points over Kalamunda 4. Did you boys bother watching the live stream, or you sort of knew how it was going to go?
No, I watched the live stream. Footy's footy. There was only one NRL game on, so... Kalamunda, I think at the start of the game, it looked really good. They held it. They scored first, I think, from memory, and they looked good. But I guess the talent of Joondalup shone through in the end. But I think, we've talked about it. Kalamunda is fighting in there, holding tough, and credit to the Cala girls. Hopefully more points and a winner around the corner.
See, I didn't know that Kalamunda scored first, and if you had said to me that at the start of the season watching them, I probably wouldn't have believed it. So that just goes a long way to show the type of dedication these girls have got to keep turning up every week and to put the effort in to score first is a really big achievement given how they've sort of been going.
First 10 minutes they were the best team as far as I'm concerned.
That's great. Yeah. That's all the improvement you kind of need at this stage with what's going on with Kalamunda.
Jeez, I would have loved to see the Fremantle versus Willagee game though.
Yeah,
Willagee in front 6-0 for a long time, and then just a 5-minute period from Fremantle scoring 2 tries and coming away with a win. Would have been a good game to watch.
This is probably the lowest scoring women's premiership game this season, I believe.
I'd say so. Yeah, only 3 tries.
I mean, that's just going to go to show that how close these teams are coming towards the back end of the season.
Just how important defence is, I guess. Defend, and that's what wins your matches.
Absolutely. So moving on to men's premiership. This week we had Fremantle 32 over Joondalup's 12, Willagee's 52 over Rockingham's 28, and North Beach with a massive score of 44 over South Perth's 6. This is not the scorelines I thought was going to happen this round. That North Beach score, a massive 44. Did anybody see or has anybody heard any news about sort of what was happening in that game?
No, I just heard it was a vintage performance from Royden Gillette.
Yeah.
He's a superstar player. And yeah, if he turns it on, it just shows what can happen.
Yeah, exactly.
It certainly wasn't the score that I was predicting. I tipped South Perth. I thought they were going to get back to their winning ways, but are we starting to see the cracks that were around in the South Perth team last year when they had a not so good season? because something is not right there at the moment because they're just not clicking. Only putting 6 points on the board with all that attacking,
all the prowess they've got.
Attacking prowess they've got in the team is disappointing. But North Beach at home, they obviously got the roll on, got the crowd behind them, and they've made a huge statement here.
I mean, I don't think it's often this deep into a season you're going to see a clash versus first and second where both teams are coming off a loss. But yeah, I mean, North Beach at home, we've talked about how that ground, that Blue Force ground, is like a cauldron or a graveyard, depending on which side of the fence you're on. But yeah, South Perth, I think, look like they're in a bit of trouble and might be coming back to the southern teams, the further southern teams, because obviously they're south, but we know what I'm talking about, don't we, lads?
We do, yeah. Unfortunately so.
Unfortunately.
The other big one, I think, is probably Fremantle's 32/12. I mean, Joondalup have started to click a little bit better. I believe Gus was back in the side as well, and he ended up in team of the round too for his performance. But still, Fremantle coming off, I think it was 2 losses back to back.
Fremantle flogged South Perth. Was it
Oh,
South
sorry,
Perth the
no.
week before? So
Oh, my bad.
That's what I mean. It sort of just backs up that the wheels are starting to fall off South Perth a little bit.
Yeah.
When you see how close the score is here between Fremantle and Joondalup, it's a lot closer than I expected. And Fremantle, they won by 22 points last week against South Perth, so that's fairly comprehensive. And then, Fremantle that much better, or is South Perth on the decline?
Yeah, that's it. You look at the scores from like the week before, and it looks like the old Fremantle of sort of a couple of years ago was back, and the blokes that are getting on in age were firing. But yeah, I think 20 points is probably not what I was expecting either. And I think Joondalup is going to be the team that pulls a win out of somewhere and maybe sends the pigeons through the roost, if that's the saying. For the teams, they might not make the finals, but I think Joondalup are going to be the team that cause other teams to have heart palpitations.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. And well, Willagee with the 52 over Rockingham 28. Rockingham continue to build on what they can with what they've got down on troops, but that's a pretty convincing win from Willagee, who haven't really looked all that bad this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably more points than Rocco's maybe scored in a lot of their games this year. So I think good signs for Rocco that, defence might still be a bit of a issue for them, but their attack's coming. That's, we know young players love attacking, so hopefully that's a sign that their young boys are sort of coming through. And I think it's probably a bit of a concern for Willagee. If you want to be a premiership threat, 28 points is from a side like Rockingham one year is probably also a bit of a concern.
Yeah, I can see that.
For Rockingham, I thought there was 2 standouts for them. Trey Emery, young fella playing in the back row, played well above his weight. He was punching holes in the defensive line every time he ran the ball. Had good footwork, and I thought Kendra Wood in the centres for Rockingham as well. I thought he had an outstanding game. But John Leota for Willagee, he was just deadly in that centre position. A bloke that is that big should not be allowed to be that fast. It's not fair.
The human physics just not right, is it?
No, that's right. So
awesome.
But so hopefully, Willagee just got to clean up their defence a bit, and they can give this competition a real shake.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to our junior footy, we've got our under-13s boys. We had Kwinana 28 over Joondalup 14, Rockingham 44 over Fremantle 0. It appears that we had a forfeit in the Willagee and Ellenbrook game. We're not 100% sure on who that was, and Kalamunda had the bye.
And in the 14s boys, we had South Perth 28 over North Beach 0. Kalamunda and Ellenbrook, we believe, was a forfeit, not sure by who. Fremantle and Alkimos was postponed due to the weather. Rockingham had a 42-10 win over Serpentine, and Kwinana won 74-0 over Joondalup. Just while we're on the 14s, boys, I just want to give a shout out to that Joondalup team. They turned up to the ground. They only had 13 players. They copped 2 injuries in the first half and were down to 11. It's a game that they very well could have forfeited, given how far they had to travel and how low they were on troops. But they turned up, they gave it their all. So I just wanted to give a shout out to them boys and to their coach for sticking with it this season.
No, that's 100%. That's what you want.
Moving on to the under-14s girls, we had Kwinana 30 over Joondalup 22 and Willagee 40 over Ellenbrook 10, and Fremantle had the bye.
And in the 15s boys, we had Ellenbrook 28 over Joondalup 4, Willagee 26 over Rockingham 6, Fremantle and Alkimos also postponed due to the weather, and Kalamunda had the bye.
In our under-17s boys, we had Ellenbrook 66 over Kwinana 0. The Alkimos versus Rockingham game was down as a forfeit. Venue was Treeby, so it's quite possible that it was postponed due to weather also. And Fremantle versus Joondalup was also postponed due to weather.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see when they're going to make up these postponed games. If they're going to play a midweek game or... Yeah.
Is there any? I mean, it's a junior bye.
They do have a
this
make-up
week.
round, don't
Is there a trip for junior? But there's also junior bye this weekend, correct? So is it that maybe possibility this weekend? Because I mean, it's not often we see the games getting scrapped for weather, but I mean, it's a difficult call to make either way. And
the weather was pretty ordinary.
I didn't go down because I didn't feel like drowning, so that sums it up, I think.
Getting onto the field, you probably would, man.
I'd be in a puddle and I'd drown.
Yeah, that's it. So we're going to take a look at the men's premiership run home towards the finals. We're going to go through each of the club, their points differential, and who they're going to be facing. We're going to do a little bit of a prediction, lads, on where they're going to finish on the ladder and how it's going to look. So
taking consensus, are we? Like 3-3-all, 2-1 sort of margins, I reckon, or...
Yeah,
we were in that. I think we'll do that, ladies and gentlemen, because if we sit here and give our own margins, me and Sweeney are going to dribble, and Beatrix will look like a genius, as I'm sure our footy tipping ex-followers will know.
Nobody wants to look at the footy tipping at all. That's rigged. It's absolutely rigged.
And the real test, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be realising if we actually tip the same team to win both at one game, because we quite possibly will do that.
All right, let's get into it.
North Beach.
Currently sitting the top of the ladder with 18 points is North Beach. Their points differential is 232 plus, with their run home being Willagee away, Rockingham away, Fremantle at home, South Perth at home, and Joondalup away.
So what do we think? North Beach, Willagee boys?
North Beach, Willagee away. It's going to be a tough game. It's probably going to be the toughest game that they've got, given that it's on the road. But what they did last week, I can't see them losing.
Yeah, I reckon North Beach. And frankly, I'd be surprised if North Beach lose another game before finals. So that's my votes for Beach for all 5 games.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at all them, like Willagee away, Rocco away, and they got Fremantle and South Perth, possibly their 2 toughest games are at home, and we know how much of an advantage it is playing at Charles Riley. Blue Force Park.
Blue Force, yeah. It continues to be this little bit of a hoodoo venue, doesn't it, for the teams going through? So I agree. I think North Beach aren't going to get shaken away from that top spot.
So that means we've got North Beach finishing first, mining premiers.
Yep.
We're consensus.
Consensus, that's it.
So in second, we've got South Perth, currently on 16 points with a plus 193 points differential. Their run home is Joondalup at home, Fremantle away, Willagee at home, North Beach away, and finish the season with Rockingham at home.
Okay, so we've already got South Perth losing that one game against North Beach. What do you reckon about the other 4 games they've got? I
think they win 2 out of 5.
Yeah, so I reckon the Joondalup South Perth game this week, I reckon we're in for another South Perth loss.
Ooh, so you're going only 1 win.
Yeah, I reckon they beat Rocco, but I reckon they might not win enough.
You think the Joondalup are going to start putting the wind up a few of these teams?
I just said it, and a whole bite. I think Joondalup's going to be the team that shakes it up, even if they can't make the finals, and we'll see when we get there.
So if we're looking at that, they'd be 28. So if they're only winning 1 more game, they'd finish on 18.
Yeah. What do you boys? How many games do you reckon you've got 2 wins there?
I reckon they can win 2.
I reckon they got 2 wins.
Okay, so let's have them. So 20 points. So we'll see where that leaves them, because I reckon that's not going to be enough for second.
You want to do Willagee?
Yeah. Yep. So Willagee. Yeah, we'll move on. Willagee's 14 points with a 60-point positive for and against. So they've got North Beach at home, Joondalup away, South Perth away, Rockingham at home, and Fremantle at home. So looking at what we've just said, we've got Willagee losing to Beach and beating South Perth. What about the other 3 games? I reckon to me it's that Freo game. I think that's the one. It's at Weber, so I'd go.
I think I go Willagee.
Yeah, I'd go Willagee at home,
home?
but
Yeah.
only because it's at home
Yeah. So we've got them losing
against Beach.
one game.
Yeah, so that
Yeah.
puts them on
That'll put them on 18.
18 points.
Which
So-
that would mean South Perth stay in the
No, because
likely-
South Perth would be on 18. I just realised our maths was
Yeah.
wrong. No, we've got South Perth 22, don't we?
Yeah, so they will go to 20.
20, sorry.
20.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
for the
so-
sake. They're not... I don't think they're reeling in that points differential.
Well, if for them to reel in that points differential, they'd have to put a big win on Rockingham and a big one on Joondalup, and not suffer too heavy of a defeat to North Beach.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it.
No, so how many games we got Willagee winning? Let's see.
I think we said 3, right?
No, 4, isn't it?
Four.
So
Yeah,
so
that's
just
that's
losing the
22
Beach, right?
points, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, we are not mathematicians.
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah,
So 22 points?
Yeah.
Just football players.
So that'd be 22 points. So they
We
would end up second.
We can tell this
Yeah.
is not pre-recorded, pre-edited, pre-rehearsed, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
so I've
This
got
is-
them
Definitely not
second.
pre-rehearsed. Definitely not pre-prepared.
Okay, so we've got Willagee finishing second,
Yep,
and at
and
the
22
moment,
points.
South Perth finishing third.
Third.
With 20.
Yep.
Okay.
So
At
we
this
move on to
stage.
Fremantle.
So Fremantle sitting on 10 points. Their run home will be Rockingham at home, South Perth at home, North Beach away, Joondalup at home, and Willagee away.
So we're looking at the Rockingham Joondalup games. So they'll win both of those, do you think?
Yep.
Yep.
The way they're going, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I
Is
think
it,
they
is it
will.
possible with the run of form that the Lions have got at the moment that they may lose this one as well? If Fremantle are really starting to click into gear with the last
Well,
2
yeah.
wins, which
Yeah, I've got
We've
Freo
got
3,
Freo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got
which would
Freo
put them
winning
on
those.
16, so they would
16.
stay fourth.
Yeah,
yeah,
and that would So that's it. So I think 16 points is realistic for them.
Yep.
Finishing fourth. Yeah. Cool.
Beatrix, do you want to do Joondalup?
Now we've got Joondalup currently sitting on 6 points with a minus 292 points differential. South Perth away, Willagee at home, Rocco away, Freo away, and North Beach at home. I think realistic. Well, you've got them beating South
I've
Perth
got to
this
beat
week.
South Perth. We'll see if that's still when our tips drop on Saturday. But I was looking at the other day, and I think this will happen. And remember, I was the one that tipped Joondalup to win that game against Willagee the other week, wasn't it? So just remember that, ladies and gents.
And I've got Rockingham beating Joondalup, given it's Rockingham's last home game.
So we've got Joondalup getting 1 win, do we reckon, or no wins?
You got them beating South.
I've got them being South Perth, but if
Yeah.
you two don't, we'll go
So
with the majority.
they'll finish on 8, and then we'll finish off with Rockingham.
Well, no, if we've got them, you guys, because we had South Perth. I think we've got them Joondalup staying on 6, don't we?
Yeah, so I thought maybe...
Yeah, because
So
I'm
they'll
the
finish on
only
8.
one tipping the South
Yeah.
Perth upset. So
Yeah, well they stay on 6.
yeah, which locks them into 5th on the table.
Yeah. So Rockingham, who are currently on 2 points with a minus 242 points differential, would have to knock off a team in the top 4 to push up
Yeah.
and not get the spoon.
So we reckon So basically, what we're looking at is the ladder: Willagee, South Perth, possibly changing spots, and the ladder otherwise staying as is. So that's our
agreed.
consensus.
Yeah, yeah.
So what? So then for finals, that would mean what final system do we play? Is it one
So
it's one
if the
versus
final
one?
system would be North Beach versus Willagee,
Oh, of course,
and the
it's
winner
one
would
versus
go
two,
through to
isn't
the grand final. The week before the grand final.
it?
Yeah.
Yep. And then South Perth would play Freo with the loser eliminated. The winner would play the loser out of
That's right, yeah.
first and fourth.
Imagine a
goes straight to the grand
Freo
final.
Willagee game for a spot in a grand final. That's the game I want to see.
That would be... Because Fremantle will be chasing down those 2 losses.
Yeah, so if we're looking at that first, second, so if Willagee were to lose that first game, they will get the home game against Fremantle. For the grand final qualifier.
That would be
Bear Park would be rocking.
Oh, that's a mouth-watering prospect.
Is it not? That is kind
You've got me excited
fantastic.
for that.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm thinking about
let's
that one
see.
as
going
well.
to organise a babysitter and I think I'll get in early and get along to that one.
Yeah, no, that's if that happens, I think that's going to be a massive crowd. But yeah, well, I reckon we'll check back on this like when we get to the end of the season, see how accurate we've got or
Yeah.
not accurate, because I guarantee there's going to be a lot we didn't get right. Is that fair?
Oh, yeah,
Is that
absolutely.
fair? Yeah.
Going off my tipping, there's probably a lot that we didn't get right. We're going to do a little bit of fun digging with statistics here. So we're going to talk about a couple of the top try scorers this year, and podcast favourite Bailey Miller is on 14 tries for this year, which is a pretty incredible considering he's missed a number of games as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been out for a couple of weeks now. I'm not sure when he'll be back, but that could cost him the top try scorer, which would be sad to see.
Yeah.
But I mean, then you've got Riley Bradley right behind him on 11
That's it.
tries.
That's it.
So,
He's been,
he
I think
just fills in.
that's it. I think Riley's been second favourite. You know, we've seen what he did with the under-18s in the Perth City Perth Kiwi game, and when you've got someone like him going from winger to fullback when Miller's out, I mean, damn, that's a decent replacement and a half. And then even if we look at the third try scorer, that's North Beach player as well, isn't it? No? What are we looking at, boys?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's
right.
it.
Yep.
That's it. You've got 35 tries for 3 North Beach players, and a lead in the comp.
And points differential in points, like it's
Then if we look at top point scorer, boys, Harry DeBeck from South Perth, currently on top on 111 points, 39 points clear of second. Is his position under threat, given that South Perth are not going so well at the moment?
I mean, I think it has to be under threat, but Harry is from all times I've seen him kicks very accurately, reliably. So,
Great
I mean,
kicker,
if South Perth are scoring
reliable.
any tries, and they're going to score tries in a couple of those games, so I suspect there might be some high scoring losses. Throw in a couple of tries, playing in the halves, pretty likely. I reckon he'll have it, but
do we know who's goal kicking for North Beach? If it's Riley Bradley or Jalen Gray?
I think they've had a couple of kickers throughout the season, so again, that's probably why one of them isn't near at the top.
Yeah.
I'm going to go the early crow, and if Jalen Gray's kicking for the rest of the year, he'll come over the top and win top point scorer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. He's on 64 points now, so that's 50-odd points in the last 5 games. That's more than doable for a player of that quality, isn't it?
Yeah, especially if they're racking up scores like that. Like, they just beat second place by 40
Yeah,
points.
that's it. If you score 6 or 7 tries, that's 14 points there. Jalen Gray's going to be scoring tries, so that's...
Yeah.
That's...
Let's
say, that's the big call from Beatrix. I've made my big call about Joondalup beating South Perth this week. We just need a big call from Sweeney.
What do you got?
Who's kicking a 2-point field goal at some point this season?
Chris Siddons.
Chris
Siddons.
Yeah. What about the old NRL adage, boys? Teams that are conceded 50 points cannot go on to win the Premiership.
I mean, I think we're going to see it at some point in the NRL this year. Like, the way the NRL is going, I reckon that's the time to break it. But that knocks out Joondalup and Rockingham. We've already knocked them out from the finals race. So
I think that's good news for the teams in the top 4, because none of them have conceded 50.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although South Perth have gone close there.
Yeah.
So
I suspect, and I'm not going to put a team on it, but I reckon we see one of them have 50 put on them before the finals.
Ooh.
See who it is, ladies and gents. See who it is.
I do like this stat here, though, having Kieran Lawton, who's the 3rd highest point scorer, plays for Rockingham on 64 points. So, I mean, there's obviously some individual brilliance happening down there as well.
another really good goal kicker.
Yeah. It's English import as well.
Yep.
So
and I think that's it. Like, there was, years ago, if you look back at NRL Super League, there was a year Nathan Merritt was the leading try scorer for the Rabbits, finishing last, and I can't off the top of my head pick the Super League player, but the same stat happened in Super League. Both comps, leading try scorer, last place team. So, footy, rugby league is a funny game.
Isn't it?
It is.
All right, jumping on to our junior preview for this week. We have no junior fixtures as we're in the middle of school holidays, or just the start of school holidays.
So if you see me playing, I'm not a junior, ladies and gentlemen. I just look like it.
As you can probably tell by listening, Sweeney hasn't read through the run sheet before the podcast started.
So we'll move on.
I just wanted to get excited about school holidays.
Let's get into senior preview.
Let's get into
Sweeney. Women's league tag, Sweeney. Come on.
Women's league tag. Women's league tag.
Swimmins
at Charlotte's Vineyard. Capers. Women's League Tag. This round 12 is going to be South Perth versus Joondalup at George Burnett Park. We'll have Alkimos versus Mandurah at Heath Park Sports Ground. Fremantle versus Kwinana at Treeby Community and Sports Centre. Willagee versus Ellenbrook at Weber Reserve. And North Beach have the bye.
And in third grade, we've got South Perth versus Kwinana at George Burnett Park. Alkimos versus Mandurah at Heath Sports Ground. Hope he's getting a bit of fuel money for that, the Mandurah boys. Kalamunda versus Ellenbrook at Heath Park Sports Ground as well. Fremantle versus Rockingham at Treeby Community and Sports Centre. And Willagee versus North Beach at Weber Reserve.
And then onto the Val Murphy Trophy, we have South Perth versus Joondalup at George Burnett Park. Alkimos versus Kwinana at Heath Park Sports Ground. Kalamunda versus Ellenbrook at Heath Park Sports Ground. Fremantle versus Rockingham at Treeby Community and Sports Centre. And Willagee versus North Beach at Weber Reserve.
And in the Women's Premiership, we have Fremantle versus Joondalup at Treeby Community and Sports Centre. And we have Kalamunda versus Ellenbrook at Treeby Community and Sports Centre also, with Willagee having the bye, which I think might have come at a good time for the Willagee Bears after suffering a couple of back-to-back defeats. Bit of time for them to regroup and get their season back on track.
What are your tips for this one, boys?
I'm going to tip Kalamunda to score the first try, but Ellenbrook to get the victory.
Yep.
And I think that Fremantle versus Joondalup game I think that could be one-sided too. Fremantle have hit a bit of form. Joondalup have been a bit up and down this year, but I said at the start, I like the look of the Fremantle squad, and I think they're going to make a strong push towards the finals.
So I reckon I'm all for upsets. I reckon I'm going to go to the Joondalup over Fremantle. You know, I think Joondalup, while they started slow against Kalamunda last weekend, I think they look good in parts. So yeah, I'll go Joondalup, and then I reckon Ellenbrook over Kwinana. I think unfortunately that's as close to a given as you're probably going to see.
And Morse has just suffered a grade 1 HIA and will be unavailable for 11 days.
That's a mandatory stand-down.
We will see. We will see, ladies and gentlemen. If I'm the only one recording next week, we know I was right.
Beatrix and Sweeney are muzzled for bad tipping. I'm going to go with Beatrix on the Fremantle versus Joondalup game. I also think Kalamunda are going to start really strong as well. They just keep building, but Ellenbrook will probably run away with it. And I see Willagee have...
So, men's premiership. We'll go South Perth versus Joondalup at George Burnett Park. Fremantle versus Rockingham at Treeby. And Willagee versus North Beach at Weber Reserve. We'll start at the top, boys. South Perth versus Joondalup. We've obviously talked about this game already. I'm going Joondalup. You two numpties are going South Perth.
I
don't know.
So you were just going back on what we changed, are we? 5 minutes ago, eh?
You're standing over there in a threatening demeanour, and you might be swaying me towards Joondalup. I don't know.
I like this.
You're staunching me a little bit.
I like this.
Off to the side, he's a lot less intimidating, but he's certainly talking me around.
I'm going to stick to my guns. I got South Perth winning this one.
Yeah.
Back on their winning ways.
I think Joondalup will actually scalp out a victory here.
God.
I do. No, I think South Perth are probably dropping behind a little bit more than they should be, and Joondalup are going to ambush them.
Okay, well that's it. We've already changed what our tips were from 5 minutes ago, ladies and gentlemen. We said it would happen. We didn't expect it to be this soon, but that's okay because we know nothing.
You heard it here second, folks.
Fremantle versus Rockingham. Okay, surely we're all on Freo, given we've just been on Freo.
Yeah,
I've got Freo.
Yeah,
they're starting to hit a bit of form.
They really are. They're really starting.
But I reckon this could be a high scoring game.
Yep.
I won't tip this as the game that a top 4 team gets 50 put on them because I don't think you lose 60 to 50. But I think a 50 to 30, 50 to 40 score, something really high, it feels like.
I think it could be similar to that Willagee Rockingham game last week.
Yeah,
like
weather pending.
Yeah, that's true.
Wasn't great weather last Saturday, was it?
It was actually
I can't
clear.
remember.
There was no rain at the Rockingham game.
It's freezing.
It was cold.
It's
It was
freezing.
absolutely freezing down there.
But anyway, Willagee versus North Beach. What are our thoughts? We've just said North Beach ain't losing a game.
Willagee at home, they're creating something really good there at Willagee. Their home games, they're getting decent crowds there, getting good support, but North Beach, what they did last week,
Yeah.
I can't see them losing another game.
Yeah, I think Willard have got that sort of upset win over North Beach back at Weber earlier in the season.
Yeah.
I don't see North Beach falling into that trap again.
No.
I reckon this could be another low-scoring game. I think going away from what Willard has maybe produced for a lot of the season with some high scores, I could see this being like a 10-12 kind of game and it being a real wrestle and North Beach just sort of coming out on top.
If Bailey Miller comes back, if they have a spine, if they have the halves pairing of Cranston and Wallace with Miller at the back, I think they win by 24.
24, there you go. Sweeney, what's your
Miller
mark?
puts his points up again as well.
South Coast and
Yeah,
that.
look, I do think North Beach are going to come away with the victory, but on both of these two games, you don't count Rockingham out. They're starting to prove that they can attack quite well, and the same with Willagee. I mean, ambush is the word maybe I've used before, but this is definitely a low-scoring game. Yeah, I agree with that, and North Beach for the win, but I'm not counting Willagee out, so it's kind of a half tip.
So having said all them things, which one would we like to see as a live stream game? You could
Probably-
make a case for all of them, really.
You could, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I
could,
think
yeah.
there's
I'd probably
you-
want to see the Willagee North Beach game. Yeah,
you probably
that's
that's
what I wanna
probably
see.
but I mean
At Bear Park, get a look at that beautiful, pristine turf all game as well.
Oh yeah,
What a field.
yeah. No, I think that would just have to be your pick for live stream game, but I mean, yeah, I think this week there's justifiable reasons.
If North
for it.
Beach play like they did last week, I'd want to watch them every week because that would have been a great performance.
Yeah.
cool. All right, thanks, lads. This week, our favourite part of the podcast, we don't have a local legend.
Now, our local legends, just everyone out there volunteering, putting their time in and stuff like that. But like we've said, if you've got a local legend, shout us out, tag them, tell us their story because we want to highlight them. So
Exactly
that's-
right. No,
yeah.
definitely shout out anybody you can. Reach out to us. We're getting some good feedback from comments and people out there, so it's been really good. Boys, until next time, remember, train hard, be kind, and love rugby
And go the
league.
Blues.
And go the